Imagine waking up one morning and finding strange footprints in the snow leading to your house, but none leading away. You tell your family. You check the locks. You go about your day. 6 days later, all 6 of you are dead, brutally murdered with a mattock in the middle of the night. And the police would find evidence that the killer had been living inside your home for days, eating your food, sleeping under your roof. This is the true story of the Hinterkaifeck Farm Murders, a crime so chilling, so perfectly preserved, and so completely unsolved that it has haunted Germany for over 100 years, and nobody was ever caught. It's March 1922. Deep in the Bavarian countryside of Germany, about 70 kilometers north of Munich, sits a small, isolated farm called Hinterkaifeck. The farm is home to 6 people: Andreas Gruber, a 63-year-old farmer, his wife Cäzilia, 72, their widowed daughter Viktoria, 35, Viktoria's 2 children, little Cäzilia, just 7 years old, and infant Josef, barely 2 years old, and the family's new maid, Maria Baumgartner, who had only arrived at the farm that very same day. The farm was isolated. The nearest neighbor was kilometers away. There was no telephone. But in the weeks before the murders, something deeply unsettling had already begun. Andreas Gruber told his neighbors about strange things happening on the farm. A newspaper had appeared that nobody had ordered. A set of keys went missing, and those footprints in the snow leading from the forest to the farm, but with none going back. Andreas even searched the farm for an intruder. He found nothing, but someone was already there. On the night of March 31st, 1922, Good Friday, the killer made their move. First, they lured Andreas, Viktoria, and young Cäzilia out to the barn. One by one, they were struck from behind with a mattock, a heavy, pick-like farming tool. The strikes were precise, powerful, personal. Forensic reports would later reveal that little Cäzilia did not die immediately. She had torn out her own hair in clumps, clutching it in her fists. Evidence she had lain alive in the dark barn for hours, too wounded to move, too scared to cry out. Then the killer returned to the farmhouse. They murdered Cäzilia Gruber and the new maid Maria in their beds, and finally, infant Josef, 2 years old, asleep in his cot. 6 people, gone in one night. But here is where this case becomes something else entirely. For 4 whole days, nobody came. The chimney was still smoking. The cattle had been fed. Someone was still caring for the animals. The killer had stayed. Over 100 suspects were interviewed. Detectives worked the case for years, and still nothing. The first suspect was Lorenz Schlittenbauer, the very man who discovered the bodies. He had a complicated history with Viktoria, and some believed he may have been the father of infant Josef. He had motive, he knew the farm, and several witnesses noticed he seemed unsurprised when he found the bodies. Then there was the rumor in the village that Andreas Gruber was involved in an incestuous relationship with his own daughter Viktoria, and that someone in the family's circle had taken revenge. The skulls of the victims were even sent to a clairvoyant in Munich, in a last desperate attempt to identify the killer through psychic means. It didn't work. During World War II, the Munich police files were destroyed in an Allied bombing raid. Whatever evidence remained, gone forever. The Hinterkaifeck case has never been officially solved. It remains open to this day. The farmhouse at Hinterkaifeck was demolished just a year after the murders. Today, there's nothing left but an empty field and a small memorial cross. But the questions remain. Who made those footprints in the snow? Who lived in that farmhouse after 6 people lay dead in the barn? Who fed the cattle, kept the fire burning, and then simply vanished? Was it someone the family knew? Someone from the village who had a grudge powerful enough to commit 6 murders and disappear without a trace? Or was it something even darker? A stranger, hiding in the attic or the barn for weeks, watching, waiting, and then striking on that cold Good Friday night. Over a century later, nobody knows. The Hinterkaifeck murders are a perfect crime, not because the killer was smart, but because time itself swallowed every answer. 6 people, 1 night, and a mystery that will likely never be solved. If this story unsettled you as much as it did me, subscribe. Every week we cover the world's most disturbing unsolved cases, forgotten crimes, and mysteries that history never answered. Drop your theory in the comments. Who do you think killed the